The luxury cruise liner Ocean Majesty gleamed in the midday sun, a floating palace filled with the wealthy and elite. From celebrities to tech moguls, everyone on board sought opulence and escape. What they didn't know was that among the polished crew and impeccably dressed waitstaff, a group of skilled criminals had infiltrated their ranks. At the ship's port of origin, the team gathered under the guise of newly hired crew. Each member had a distinct role to play in their audacious plan. Nina adjusted the cuffs of her pristine white uniform and turned to her partner, Leo, who was slipping on his captain's cap. "You sure you can pull this off?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. Leo smirked, exuding confidence. "I've studied enough to fake it for a week. Besides, these rich types just want to see someone in a fancy hat." In the corner, Desmond, the tech expert, was tinkering with a tablet. "We've got a narrow window to pull this off," he said without looking up. "The security system's more advanced than I expected, but I've planted a few back doors. As long as no one pokes around too much, we're good." "Let's hope the passengers are more interested in champagne than server rooms," Claire chimed in. She was dressed as a housekeeper, a cover that gave her access to nearly every cabin on the ship. Once on board, the team dispersed, each assuming their roles seamlessly. Leo strutted onto the bridge, mingling with the real officers while subtly taking mental notes of their routines. His position was crucial. Controlling the ship's itinerary gave them the advantage of timing their escape. Nina worked in guest services, her charm and wit ensuring that no one suspected her of anything beyond providing five-star hospitality. As she guided a billionaire couple to the grand ballroom, she discreetly noted which passengers wore the most expensive jewelry. Later that evening, in the cruise quarters, the team reconvened to finalize their strategy. The cramped room was a stark contrast to the luxury above deck, but it provided the secrecy they needed. "We hit during the charity auction," Leo said, laying out the plan on a map of the ship. "All the high rollers will be in one place, distracted. Desmond, you'll kill the cameras in the ballroom. Claire, you'll secure the main stairwells and elevators." "And me?" Nina asked, leaning back in her chair. "You're the face," Leo said. "Work the room, keep an eye on the big players, and signal when it's time to move." Desmond looked skeptical. "What about the vault? Even if we get the passengers' valuables, the ship's vault is where the real treasure is." Leo grinned. "That's where you come in. While everyone's at the auction, you'll access the vault system and disable the alarm. We'll empty it before anyone notices." Claire frowned. "And the escape?" Leo pointed to a hidden lifeboat location on the map. "We'll use a maintenance lift to transport the loot. Once we're loaded, we launch under the cover of night. By the time they realize what's missing, we'll be long gone." The next day, the Ocean Majesty set sail, its passengers oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. Leo stood on the bridge, gazing out at the horizon. His heart raced, not from fear, but from the thrill of what was to come. "You look like you've done this before," remarked Captain Myers, the ship's actual captain. Leo smiled, his demeanor flawless. "Just trying to live up to your standards, sir." Below deck, Nina was mingling with passengers at the poolside bar. She struck up a conversation with a tech mogul named Victor Klein, who wore a diamond-studded watch that gleamed in the sunlight. "That's quite the timepiece," Nina said, feigning fascination. Victor chuckled. "It's a one-of-a-kind. Cost me a small fortune." "Must be nice," Nina said with a dazzling smile, filing away the information. As the sun set, Desmond slipped into the ship's server room. The hum of machinery filled the air as he connected his tablet to the system. "Let's see what you're hiding," he muttered, navigating through layers of encryption. He disabled the cameras in key areas, ensuring the team could move freely during the heist. A flicker on his screen made him pause. "Someone's been poking around here," Desmond whispered into his earpiece. "Might be security. I'll handle it, but we need to move fast." In the grand ballroom, preparations for the charity auction were underway. The glittering chandeliers and string quartet created an atmosphere of indulgence. Nina moved through the crowd, her sharp eyes identifying which passengers carried the most valuable items. Leo entered, dressed in a tuxedo, blending in perfectly. He approached Nina, holding a champagne flute. "Everything set?" he asked under his breath. "Almost," she replied. "They're ready to bid millions on art they don't even like. This is our moment." Leo nodded. "Let's make it count." As the auction began, the team's carefully laid plans were set in motion. Claire locked the elevators leading to the lower decks, while Desmond ensured the security system stayed offline. Leo caught Nina's eye from across the room. She gave a subtle nod, signaling the start of their operation. The game was on. The grand ballroom was alive with opulence. Glittering jewels adorned the wealthy elite, champagne flowed freely, and the auctioneer's booming voice echoed across the room. Each bid escalated into the millions, a testament to the sheer wealth gathered on the Ocean Majesty. Nina weaved through the crowd, her tray of champagne glasses providing the perfect cover for surveillance. Her sharp eyes caught every detail. The way Victor Klein adjusted his diamond-studded watch, how socialite Eleanor Thorne's emerald necklace sparkled under the chandeliers, and the careless way others flaunted their wealth. In her earpiece, Leo's voice came through clearly. "Status? All clear," she murmured softly. "Targets are in position. It's a buffet of riches in here." Down in the server room, Desmond hunched over his tablet, his fingers flying across the screen. Lines of code scrolled rapidly as he worked to disable the ballroom's cameras and reroute the security system. "Cameras are down in your sector," he whispered into his mic. "Stairwell's locked, and I've got eyes on the vault alarm. You've got 10 minutes before the backup system kicks in." Claire's voice chimed in from the crew quarters. "Elevators are locked. No interruptions from the upper decks. I'll keep an eye out down here." "Good," Leo replied. "Nina, get the signal ready." In the ballroom, Nina approached the podium, where the auctioneer was announcing the next item, a rare antique ruby brooch. The crowd gasped as the piece was unveiled, its deep red hues shimmering in the light. "This exquisite treasure begins at 1 million, the auctioneer declared. The bidding frenzy began, with hands flying up across the room. Nina placed her tray on a nearby table and discreetly tapped her earring, activating a small device hidden in her bracelet. The lights flickered briefly, an effect Desmond had programmed into the ship's electrical grid. Leo caught the cue and leaned toward Victor Klein, seated at one of the front tables. "Electrical hiccups," he remarked casually. "Probably nothing, but these things can get dicey on older ships." Victor chuckled, clearly unfazed. "As long as my champagne stays chilled, I couldn't care less." Backstage, where the auction items were stored, Leo slipped past the distracted staff. He found the storage room secured by a keypad lock. Desmond's voice guided him. "Okay, you've got a 6-digit code. Start with 9-4-2. Leo punched in the numbers, but the keypad blinked red. "That didn't work," he hissed. "Hold on," Desmond said, recalibrating. "There's a secondary override. Try 783156. The door clicked open, and Leo stepped inside. Display cases lined the room, filled with priceless items waiting to be auctioned. He worked quickly, replacing the most valuable pieces with replicas Nina had smuggled on board. "Vault's secure," he reported, heading back to the ballroom. Meanwhile, in the ballroom, the final item of the evening was being presented. A diamond tiara said to have once belonged to royalty. The crowd buzzed with excitement as the auctioneer began the bidding. 1 million to start. Do I hear 1.5? As the bids climbed, Nina watched the room closely. Her attention shifted to the security guards stationed by the exits. They seemed relaxed, their focus on the event rather than the staff. "Leo, hurry up," she murmured into her mic. "On my way," he replied. Back in the server room, Desmond noticed an anomaly on his screen. A red warning icon flashed, indicating a breach in the ship's main security network. Guys, we've got a problem," he said. "Someone's trying to access the system remotely. I can block them, but it'll draw attention." Claire's voice cut in. "Do it. We're too far in to back out now." Desmond gritted his teeth and initiated a countermeasure, shutting down the external access point. The ballroom lights flickered again, drawing murmurs from the guests. Nina acted quickly, stepping up to the podium and announcing, "Ladies and gentlemen, we seem to be experiencing a minor technical issue. Please remain seated, and we'll have everything sorted shortly." Her soothing tone calmed the crowd, allowing the auction to continue. Leo returned to the ballroom, blending seamlessly into the crowd. He gave Nina a subtle nod, signaling that the replicas were in place and the genuine items secured. "Time to wrap it up," he said into his mic. "Desmond, are we green for the vault?" Desmond hesitated. "Not yet. Security's tightened since I blocked the breach. I need another 2 minutes. We don't have 2 minutes, Claire interjected. Hurry. As the auction concluded, Nina signaled for the team to regroup. She guided Victor Klein toward the exit, engaging him in small talk to distract from the slight tension in the air. Leo took position by the ballroom's main doors, watching as the wealthy guests filed out. Desmond reported back. Vault alarms disabled. Go now. Leo gave the command. Claire, retrieve the package. Nina, stay on the crowd. I'll cover the escape. The heist was in full swing, but with the ship's security system faltering and an unknown breach in play, the team's carefully crafted plan was beginning to show cracks. Would they make it to the lifeboat undetected, or had the tides turned against them? As the ballroom emptied, the tension among the team escalated. Nina lingered near the departing guests, her practiced smile hiding the nerves bubbling under the surface. Victor Klein, oblivious to her true intentions, handed her a generous tip for her exceptional service. You've made this evening unforgettable, he said, slipping a folded bill into her hand. Oh, you've no idea, Nina replied, her voice honey smooth. Leo, standing near the ballroom's exit, maintained a commanding presence. His uniform lent him an air of authority, allowing him to steer the flow of guests while discreetly scanning for any signs of suspicion. Desmond, status? He muttered into his earpiece. Vault's good, Desmond replied, his voice tinged with urgency. But I've got another breach in the system. Someone on board is trying to get in. It's not security. This is a third party. Define third party, Leo demanded. I don't know yet, Desmond admitted, his fingers flying across the tablet. Whoever it is, they're good. I'm barely holding them off. Below deck, Claire was maneuvering through the narrow maintenance corridors with a heavy duffel bag slung over her shoulder. The vault had yielded an impressive haul. Diamonds, gold bars, and a collection of rare gemstones now safely tucked away. Heading to the rendezvous point, she said, her voice steady despite the weight she carried. Keep an eye out, Leo warned. We've got unexpected company. Claire smirked. When don't we? As she neared the freight elevator that would take her to the hidden lifeboat, a shadow flickered in her peripheral vision. She stopped, heart pounding, and pressed herself against the wall. Something's not right, she whispered. Meanwhile, Desmond's frustration reached a boiling point. The mysterious hacker was relentless, and his countermeasures were barely holding. This isn't random, he said into the comms. Someone knows we're here. Leo's jaw tightened. Focus on keeping us covered. We're almost out. Nina chimed in, her voice low. Desmond, if they know we're here, can they track us? Not yet, Desmond said, but if they break through. Don't let them, Leo snapped. Claire reached the elevator and punched in the access code. The doors slid open with a mechanical hum, and she stepped inside. She hit the button for the lower deck, her grip tightening on the bag. As the elevator descended, a sharp metallic clang echoed through the shaft. Claire tensed, her hand instinctively reaching for the knife concealed in her boot. Elevator's acting weird, she reported. Might have company down here. Leo cursed under his breath. Stick to the plan. If you're compromised, improvise. The elevator doors opened to the dimly lit maintenance level. Claire stepped out cautiously, her eyes scanning the shadows. The lifeboat was just a few meters away, hidden under a tarp and rigged for a quick launch. Back in the server room, Desmond's tablet beeped ominously. The hacker had breached another layer of the system, and alarms started to go off across the ship. Guys, we're out of time, he said. I can't hold them back anymore. The alarm sent a ripple of panic through the crew. In the ballroom, the remaining staff exchanged confused glances as security guards rushed toward the source of the disturbance. Leo grabbed Nina's arm. Time to go. What about the passengers? Nina asked. They'll be fine, Leo said. We won't. The duo made their way to the lower decks, blending in with the chaos. Security guards passed them without a second glance. Their attention focused on the alarms. Desmond, meet us at the lifeboat, Leo said. Already on my way, Desmond replied. As they descended, the ship's intercom crackled to life. This is Captain Myers, a stern voice announced. All crew, report to your stations immediately. We have a breach in the security system. I repeat, all crew to your stations. At the lifeboat, Claire worked quickly to uncover it and secure the loot inside. She glanced up as Leo, Nina, and Desmond arrived, their faces taut with urgency. Nice of you to show up, she said. Let's move. Leo ordered. The team climbed into the lifeboat, their movements synchronized. Desmond activated the motorized launch system, and the lifeboat began to lower toward the churning ocean below. As the lifeboat hit the water, the ship's alarms grew faint, swallowed by the roar of the waves. The team sped away under the cover of darkness, their stolen riches safely aboard. "We made it," Nina said, a hint of disbelief in her voice. "Barely," Desmond muttered, still rattled by the hacker's interference. Leo leaned back, his expression unreadable. "We're not in the clear yet. Whoever was after us back there, they won't stop." Claire smirked, her confidence unshaken. "Let them try." As the Ocean Majesty faded into the distance, the team exchanged a silent look of triumph. They had pulled off the heist of a lifetime, but the game was far from over. Would their success be short-lived, or was this only the beginning of a larger game? The lifeboat cut through the dark waves, the hum of its motor the only sound in the vast ocean. The stolen goods lay neatly secured in watertight cases, a fortune glimmering beneath layers of reinforced plastic. Desmond adjusted the GPS, ensuring their course to the rendezvous point remained undetected. "How long until we reach the cargo ship?" Nina asked, pulling a blanket around her shoulders. "About 40 minutes, Desmond replied, eyes glued to the device. "If everything goes smoothly." Leo shot him a glance. "We don't rely on if in this business. Keep us off radar. Claire, how's the stash?" Claire smirked, patting the cases. "All accounted for. We're sitting on more money than a small country's GDP. "Let's just hope it stays ours," Leo muttered. Nina stared out at the endless waves, her mind racing. The alarms on the Ocean Majesty, the hacker Desmond couldn't block, the sense that their perfect plan had been breached by unseen forces. It all gnawed at her. "You think it was just bad luck?" she asked, breaking the silence. Desmond shook his head. "No such thing. Someone knew. Maybe not everything, but enough to put us at risk." Claire leaned back, her tone casual but her gaze sharp. "If they knew, why didn't they stop us outright? Why not send security to the vault?" "Because they didn't care about stopping us," Leo said grimly. "They wanted to watch, see how far we'd get." The group fell silent, the weight of his words sinking in. Nina glanced at him. "You think they are after us now?" "Not think, no," Leo replied. "Question is, how fast can they move?" Desmond tapped the GPS. "Fast enough. Satellite surveillance can pick up a lifeboat this small if they have the right tech. I'm masking our signal, but if they're watching, they'll know the general area to search." "Fantastic," Claire muttered. "And here I thought the ocean was supposed to make us invisible." Suddenly, the lifeboat's engine sputtered, then died. The team froze. "What the hell?" Claire snapped, rising to check the motor. Desmond scrambled to the controls, his fingers flying over the keypad. "It's not a mechanical issue. It's interference. Someone's jamming us." Leo grabbed a flashlight and shone it toward the horizon. "Keep working. Nina, check the stash. Claire, stay on lookout." "On it," Nina said, crouching to ensure the cases were secure. Claire pulled out binoculars, scanning the water. "Nothing yet, but if someone's jamming us, they're not far." Desmond groaned in frustration. "They're good. Every time I patch the signal, they shut it down again." Leo clenched his jaw. "Then we ditch the boat, take what we can and swim for it." Nina looked horrified. "Are you serious? The cargo ship's miles away. We wouldn't make it." "We don't have many options," Leo snapped. Claire's voice cut through the tension. "Hold up. We've got company. West side." In the distance, a faint light appeared, steadily growing brighter. A low, ominous hum accompanied it, the sound of an engine slicing through the water. "Search party," Claire said. Nina's heart raced. "What do we do?" Leo grabbed a flare gun from the emergency kit. "If they're close enough to jam us, they're close enough to see this. Desmond, can you isolate their signal?" Desmond hesitated, then nodded. "Maybe, but I need time." "Buy it," Leo said, stepping toward the edge of the boat. The approaching vessel loomed larger, its spotlight sweeping the waves. Leo fired the flare into the sky, its bright red streak momentarily blinding the searchlight. Claire moved quickly, grabbing one of the cases. "We dump half the stash. It's a distraction." "Are you insane?" Desmond shouted. "We'll lose everything if they catch us," Claire countered. Nina intervened. "She's right. We leave enough to make them think they've won. Reluctantly, Desmond helped toss 2 cases overboard. The cases floated briefly before sinking, the diamonds glimmering one last time before vanishing into the depths. The distraction worked. The search vessel veered toward the flare's direction, its spotlight focusing on the sinking cases. "Go now," Leo ordered. Desmond managed to reboot the engine just as the searchlight moved away. The lifeboat roared back to life, and the team sped off, their breaths tight with relief. "How much did we lose?" Leo asked. "Enough to hurt," Claire said. "Better than losing it all," Nina added. As the cargo ship appeared on the horizon, the team began to relax, though the weight of what had just happened hung heavy. "Someone's playing a long game," Leo said, "and this isn't over." Desmond sighed. "Next time, we'll be ready." Claire smirked, her confidence unshaken. "They'll regret messing with us." The lifeboat reached the cargo ship, and the crew helped them aboard. For now, they were safe. But in the shadows, their adversaries were already planning the next move. What seemed like a clean getaway was only the beginning of a much larger game. The cargo ship loomed in the moonlight, its industrial silhouette cutting through the dark waves. The team boarded quickly, hauling what remained of their stolen fortune onto the deck. The ship's crew, bought and paid for, greeted them with curt nods, avoiding eye contact. Leo led the way into the ship's interior, his movements precise and deliberate. "Desmond, set up the gear. We need to know who we're dealing with." Desmond pulled out his equipment, setting up a makeshift workstation in a storage room. "Give me 20 minutes. I'll try to trace the jammer and figure out who's tracking us." "Make it 10, Leo snapped. "They're not giving us a head start." Nina slumped against the wall, exhaustion settling in. "This wasn't supposed to happen. We planned for everything. How did they get so close?" Claire dumped her duffel bag onto a crate, her expression unreadable. "We underestimated them. Simple as that." "Or," Nina countered, her voice sharp, "someone gave us up." Leo froze, his piercing gaze shifting between the two women. "You think we've got a rat?" "I'm saying it's a possibility," Nina replied. "Who else knew the plan? The route? The escape?" Desmond chimed in from his workstation. "Before we start pointing fingers, let's figure out who was jamming us. If it's someone we know, then we've got our answer." Claire folded her arms, leaning against a bulkhead. "Fine, but if there's a leak, we need to plug it. Fast." Leo nodded. "Focus on the task. No one makes a move without clearing it with me. Understood?" A tense silence followed before the team muttered their agreements. In the quiet hum of the storage room, Desmond worked tirelessly. His fingers danced across the keyboard, pulling up encrypted data streams and tracing the signals back to their source. The screen flickered, then displayed a map overlay with a blinking red dot. "Got it," he announced. The signal came from a satellite uplink. "Whoever they are, they're using top-tier tech." Leo frowned. "Military grade?" "Close," Desmond said. "Private security firm, maybe, but definitely not amateurs." Claire leaned over his shoulder. "Can you identify them?" "Working on it," Desmond replied. The ship's captain, a grizzled man with a thick accent, entered the room. "We're on course to the drop point, 6 hours out. You better be gone by then." "Relax," Leo said. "We'll be off your ship before you know it." The captain grunted, clearly unimpressed. "Make sure of it. I don't want trouble following you onto my vessel." Leo's jaw tightened, but he held back a retort. "Noted." Back at the workstation, Desmond's expression darkened. "I've got a name. Sentinel Solutions." Claire raised an eyebrow. "Never heard of them." "They're black ops," Desmond explained. "Corporate funded, think mercenaries with a tech edge. If they're after us, it's not for the money." Nina's eyes widened. "Then what is it?" Leo's face hardened. "It's leverage. They want us to work for them, or they want us gone." The revelation cast a heavy shadow over the team. Nina broke the silence. "So what's the plan? We can't fight them head-on." "No," Leo agreed, "but we can disappear. For now," Claire scoffed. "Disappear? With this haul? They'll track us down eventually." "Then we give them something to find," Leo said, his voice low. "A trail that leads them away from us." The team set to work, planting false leads. Desmond rerouted signals, creating a digital breadcrumb trail that pointed to a rival crew operating in a completely different region. Nina and Claire reconfigured the stolen loot, hiding key pieces while preparing decoys to leave behind. As the hours ticked by, the tension eased slightly. The storm that had masked their escape earlier had long since passed, leaving the ocean calm but eerily silent. Finally, the cargo ship reached the designated drop point, a remote section of the ocean where another vessel awaited to ferry them to shore. The team stood on the deck, watching as their next ride approached. Leo addressed the group, his tone firm. "This isn't over. We've made enemies tonight, and they won't forget. Stay sharp and don't let your guard down." Nina nodded. "What happens if they catch up to us again?" Leo's gaze was steely. "Then we make sure it's the last time." As the smaller vessel pulled alongside the cargo ship, the team transferred their loot and boarded quickly. The cargo ship's captain wasted no time pulling away, leaving them alone in the vast expanse of the ocean once more. The smaller boat's captain, a wiry man with sharp features, greeted them with a grin. "Heard you had a rough night." "You could say that," Claire replied. "Well, you're safe with me." "For now," the captain said. Leo's eyes narrowed. "Just get us to shore." As the boat sped toward land, the team shared a rare moment of quiet reflection. They had escaped with their lives and most of their fortune, but the cost was clear. Their anonymity was shattered, and their enemies were powerful. For now, though, the open sea offered a temporary reprieve. Whether they would ever truly escape the shadow of their pursuers remained to be seen. The boat pulled into a secluded harbor under the cover of night. Thick fog blanketed the shoreline, muffling the faint hum of the engine as the captain expertly navigated through hidden channels. The dim glow of distant city lights barely penetrated the mist. "Last stop," the captain announced. "You've got a 10-minute window before the coast starts waking up. Make it count." Leo nodded, slipping the man an envelope thick with cash. "Keep this trip between us," the captain smirked. "Always do." The team disembarked, hauling their loot in reinforced duffel bags. Nina glanced over her shoulder at the fading outline of the boat. "Think he'll sell us out?" Claire shook her head. "Not with what we paid him. He's got more to lose than we do if Sentinel catches wind." Desmond tapped a waterproof case strapped to his side. "We should focus on moving. Every second here is a risk." Leo led the way into the dense foliage lining the shore. "Stay sharp. We regroup at the safe house." The forest swallowed them, the sound of crunching leaves and snapping twigs the only indication of their presence. Nina couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, her pulse quickening with each step. "Leo," she whispered, "are we sure this place is secure?" "As secure as it gets," he replied. "The safe house is off-grid. Desmond's sweeps say it's clean." "Doesn't mean it's invincible," Claire muttered. "Nothing is," Desmond added, "but it's better than standing out here waiting for trouble." After nearly an hour of hiking, the group emerged into a small clearing. A weathered cabin stood in the center, its windows covered with heavy blackout curtains. Desmond approached first, pulling a small device from his pocket. He scanned the area for electronic signals, then nodded. "No trackers." "We're good." Leo unlocked the door, and the group filed inside, the tension finally easing as they dropped their bags. The interior was sparse but functional. A few cots, a table with mismatched chairs, and a single solar-powered lamp casting a dim glow. Claire immediately went to work securing the loot, while Nina rummaged through a cabinet for supplies. Desmond set up his equipment on the table, his fingers flying over the keyboard. "First order of business is checking if Sentinel's tracking us. I'll need a couple of hours." Leo nodded. "Do it. The rest of us will secure the perimeter." As the group split up, Nina cornered Leo near the door. "Do you really think this will hold them off?" "For now," Leo said. "We bought ourselves time. That's all we ever needed." Nina hesitated. "What happens if they find us again?" "They're not just after the loot. They're after us." "Then we make a stand," Leo replied. The hours passed in tense silence. Each member of the team focused on their task. Desmond's typing was the only sound in the cabin, a steady rhythm that kept everyone on edge. Finally, he looked up, his expression grim. "Bad news, they're still looking. The breadcrumb trail we left bought us a few hours at best. Sentinel's already poking holes in it." Leo leaned over the table. What about our location? They haven't pinpointed us yet, Desmond said, but it's only a matter of time. Claire slammed her fist on the table. Then we don't wait for them to come to us. We take the fight to them. Leo raised an eyebrow. And how do you suggest we do that? We hit their headquarters, Claire said. Wipe their servers, destroy their data. Make it impossible for them to track us. Nina frowned. That's insane. They're a private army, Claire. We'd be walking into a death trap. And sitting here isn't? Claire shot back. Desmond hesitated. It's risky, but if we time it right, it could work. Their defenses are strongest during business hours. At night, they rely more on automated systems. Leo considered the idea. We'd need a clean entry and exit, no mistakes. Nina shook her head. This is suicide. No, Leo said. This is survival. The team spent the next several hours planning their counterstrike. Desmond hacked into Sentinel's network, mapping out their headquarters and identifying weak points. Nina worked on disguises and entry routes, while Claire prepared the tools they'd need to bypass the security systems. By the time dawn broke, the plan was set. This is our shot, Leo said, his voice steady. We end this, or we don't come back. The team moved swiftly, blending into the city's early morning bustle as they approached Sentinel's headquarters. The building was a sleek, glass-covered monolith, its exterior giving no hint of the deadly operations within. Desmond guided them through the back entrance, bypassing the initial security with ease. We've got 10 minutes before their system flags this. Move fast. Inside, the team worked like clockwork. Claire disabled the cameras while Nina set up a decoy signal to redirect security. Desmond infiltrated the mainframe, planting a virus to erase all traces of their identities from Sentinel's records. Leo kept watch, his finger hovering over the trigger of his silenced pistol. 3 minutes, Desmond whispered. As the virus executed its final commands, alarms blared. Sentinel's automated defenses kicked in, locking down the building. Time to go, Leo shouted. The team sprinted toward the exit, narrowly avoiding detection as they slipped out into the city streets. Back at the safe house, they collapsed in exhaustion, the weight of their victory heavy on their shoulders. It's done, Desmond said, slumping into a chair. We're ghosts again. For now, Leo said. But this isn't the last time someone will come for us. Claire smirked. Let them try. Nina glanced at the dwindling loot. Was it worth it? Leo's gaze was steady. Always.